Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a little bit of the print statement, showing some variables and some types of the awesome data that we can actually put into Python. So this is just very basic stuff, but really excited to show you. Before I go too deep, I'm just going to show you. In here I have this mess of files right here. To create another file, all you have to do, this little button right here, this first one, like type in a wonderful file, and then see we don't have anything, it's just like a text file. But as I do .py, that's going to tell Windows and VS Code that this is a Python file. So we have that little Python logo now. Right here, teaching, I already have the file that I need, so we're going to get rid of that right now. And again, just kind of reiterating that awesome print statement. So you're going to use it for so much. I use it for a lot. It's good for figuring out what you're doing, for printing variables like I'll show you. Good for catching errors, just pretty much everything. Even if you're just making like a simple command line program, great for that as well. So here I'm gonna print, and then a hello world again. And what a little smiley face did. Why not? All I did there, make sure you save after each time, that's very important. You can either go file, save just like usual, or Control S. I'm just so used to doing Control S at this point, so might as well use that. But you'll see down here we have the little terminal, so I'll also show you how to run your program or your script in the terminal as well, and that way you can actually see it in action, which is pretty cool. What I showed you before was just in the Python interpreter itself. With that, anything you use would be immediately deleted as soon as you exit the program. So obviously you're doing this because you want to create a program, because you want a file, so that's why we have this. There's so much you can do with Python, so I'm excited to show you everything. Follow along in order, this is going to be one of many YouTube videos. After this I'll do some crazy like just web scraping and whatever videos that automate just like your whole life, which is great. Python is a great language to learn for anything like that, so you're on the right track definitely. But right here I have a PowerShell window. If you don't have it, all you can do, terminal, new terminal, that'll do that. What it does, it actually opens a terminal window in the folder that you're connected in. So if you're not connected to a folder, you can always file, open folder, and then it'll open a program, or it'll open a folder where you can store all your, again, just mess of just files and just all kinds of stuff I have right here, all my scripts and everything. So it'll store all that in there as well. So that's what this is right here. To run the program, so this is called teaching.py, because I'm teaching you. So all you have to do, really simple, you're going to call the Python command, and then teaching, or the name of your script will go right here. So for example, this one's teaching, so teaching.py, hit enter, voice crack, and then hello world. So we did the program. So it's a very basic program, but it's just like, it's kind of like the beginner, like the haha moment for programming, where you're like, oh, I did stuff. Hello world's like the base of programming, so that's cool there. Next thing I got on my list for you is variables. So we're actually going to put hello world into a variable, which will be really cool. So here's how we're going to do it. So you're going to type any name you want. We're going to call this sexy text. That's our variable, sexy text. Ooh. And then you're going to do an equal sign. Now it doesn't like this equal sign right now because I don't have anything connected to the variable. But as soon as I start adding anything, it'll be fine with that. So right now I have sexy text not equal to anything. Again, I'm going to talk about this more, but the reason I'm putting quotes around everything right now and it's turning green, that's another wonderful thing for having that Python, the extension. Well, I looked over there, the Python extension. Another great reason for that, it'll highlight all the code and everything and all the syntax, make it look really beautiful. We can try it now, and even I'll do that again here. So before I do the sexy text, we're gonna do print, if I know how to spell it, there we go, print, and in parentheses we're gonna put hello world, and it's probably going to yell at me here, which is good. Yeah, see, there's 4 errors already. It's like, I don't know what you're trying to do right there. But again, if we try to run it, the cool thing about whenever you're in the terminal, terminal, you're just going to hit the up arrow, bam, it's going to call your last command, which is Python teaching. And here it says, it's like, hey, you have an invalid syntax. What it's trying to do here is it's trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. So right here it reads hello, as you can see, as a variable, which I'm about to show you. And with the world, it's like, I have no idea what you're trying to do there. The reason being is this is not a string. To make it a string, we need that parentheses right there, or not the parentheses, the quotation mark. So again, if we try the hello world, you can see it's green now, which is cool. So that shows you what type of data it is. There's a whole bunch of like themes, by the way, so you can go. Let's see if I can figure this out. Themes. There it is. View theme. Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of themes and everything you can use. So that's really cool. This isn't the default theme. The default theme's pretty cool as well, but you definitely want to go with dark mode, especially since it's a lot easier on your eyes. There's like some light, really bright modes out of there, and it's like stings your eyes. But also like it's just cool. Like dark mode's better for everything. Your Instagram, your Snapchat, your Twitter, that should all be dark mode. If it's not, what are you doing? But as you can see, we have that now in the quotation mark. So run that again, and now it prints. So it understands that that's a string. So that's just how the Python language is written. Going back to the variables though, we have our sexy text, sexy. There we go. And we're gonna make that equal to so you see it went away already because I technically have a string, but I don't. It's just an empty string right now. We're gonna go ooh la la. That's our sexy texty. You'll notice I have this here. It acts as a space. It makes your code much more readable, which is really important because at some point you're probably going to start uploading your code, or you're going to just even makes it more readable for you. You don't want to be going through like that. While it's still a valid variable, it just doesn't look as good as this does. And another thing about variables, they cannot start with a number. So as you can see, I put a 0. Python's like, no, we're not doing it. So make sure there's 2 rules for variables. Make sure they look clean, and then it doesn't start. It can definitely start with the name of a number because it's actual text, so 0, 0. So that works, but you can't have the number itself. So we have that. Oops. I'm gonna double space again for readability. Nice to double space in between. The way I like to do it is I like to group my code in like what it's doing. So if I'm doing a web scraping, kind of what it's doing. Loops, as we get into those should be a little bit more like grouped together as well. So fun stuff like that. But here we're going to use our print function again, and this time we're going to call a variable. So as you can see, VS Code knows we have sexy texty, and you can see it also says it's a string, which is true. And then we're going to go back to the terminal. Always make sure you save this. One quick tip, whenever you're in the file, you'll see this little circle here. That means you haven't saved the file, you've made changes after it's been saved the last time. So I'm going to Control S, oops, I am in PowerShell. Control S, and now it turns to the X, that means it has been saved. So we're going to recall that. And then ooh la la prints. So pretty cool right there. So that's stored in a variable. I'll be showing you a lot more. You can store literally any object, any text, any number inside a variable, so even play around with it a little bit right now. 34. This is a lot easier than just writing text inside the print function. But you can change it like that. Now it says 34 down here. It makes variables make everything so much easier and so much more smooth when you're actually writing the code itself. So that showed you the strings. Next I have integers, so we're going to do another variable. We're going to do cute number equals 12. So again, print cute number 12, bam, bam, bam. So now we have 12. So that's showing you the number. And what Python considers that is an integer. So integers, obviously, 0, -1, any like whole number is an integer. But then we have floats as well. So now it's a float. As soon as you add that decimal, it becomes a float. So now this is a float. Still acts pretty much the same. But something cool you can do with floats is you actually have a lot of commands. So for example, I could do round. And what round does is it takes a number, so a number being cute number. Again, another reason why the variable is so wonderful to have here. You don't have to input that number each time. You just keep it there. We're going to print cute number, and we're actually going to make round its own variable as well. So we're going to do round cute number. We'll go back to sexy number, why not? Keep it fun. Make that equal to that. And then you can see a lot of these functions. So another thing with VS Code, it's really good about telling you what the required arguments are. So that's what these are. So it requires a number, that's our first argument. Second argument is n digits, so number of digits, how many decimal points you want, essentially is what it's saying. So we'll have smorgasbord of numbers there. Comma, just like if you have any Excel knowledge, you'll know a comma is really valuable. Comma, what it does is it just separates your two variables, so that's all that's doing there, so that's really helpful there. But cute numbers are number, n digits, we'll say, let's round it to 3. It's going to take an integer there. And then instead of printing cute number, we're going to print sexy number. Oops. Let me try that again. Print cute. Okay, yep. Yeah, I did that right. I confused myself. So as you can see, so we have this with like, what, 10 decimal points maybe? With that 3, it only prints the last 3, or the first 3. I can do it down to 2. Now it prints the first 2. And we can even take this a step further. So, the video is getting a little long, but one other thing I want to show you is string concatenation. I'll put the right word, and I can never pronounce it right, but I'll put the word in the video, don't worry. So what that is essentially it's adding the strings together, or adding strings together. So another quick thing is that now that we have this number, and it's saying it's a float, so there it is. You can see this is a float type because of that decimal, and that's a float up there as well. We can actually convert it back to a string. So string would just be str, and you want to make sure you have all this in parentheses, and then we're going to print, and here's where it gets fun. We're going to do some string formatting here. So what we'll do is we'll do the first number is, and then we're going to do brackets. If they turn yellow, that's great. And the second number is, brackets again, period after, and then in between the quotation marks and the little parenthesis, I just said that earlier, I don't know why I forgot it. In between those two right there where the cursor is, you're going to do dot, and you'll get to see all the awesome methods you can do. I'll go into these more. I just realized that first I spelled them F-I-R-S-T. I'll go into these more later, but there's a ton you can do with, like I know it probably looks like a lot right now. What we're going to use right now is we're going to use format. And then again, format's going to accept more arguments, so pretty much it's saying it'll accept as many arguments as we have here. So we have 2 spots for 2 arguments. So our first one will be cute number. We'll put that in, check that, that should be a float. And then we're going to put in sexy number. And if I check that, that should be a string now. We're going to save it. So you see our circle is gone. Go down here, recall the last command. Now I have exactly that. First number is 12, whatever, and 12.23. One other little tip, you see it's like kind of like smushed together. So what you can do here is you can do backslash n, and then right at the end there, backslash n again, and watch this magic, watch what it does here. Didn't change the text at all. but it gives you a lot of little space in here. So this is really good if you're trying to format and you're still using a command line CLI, command line interface for your program, so that's really helpful there as well. But yeah, it's a pretty quick breakdown of printing variables, string, integers, and floats. So thanks for watching.